And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to a special episode of New Earth TV Live. Of course, I was not able to do this episode on Friday. On Friday, I had to get my shoulder checked out. Everything is good. That's the good news. I have kind of a clean bill of health. Actually, it was funny. The doctor was quite amazed at how quickly it was healing. And I said, I'm just doing meditation. Just telling them I'm just doing meditation. The shoulder's doing really well. Because I was looking at x-rays with the shoulder as well too. Like everything is in like peak condition. Still a little bit of tenderness over here on the left side of the shoulder. A little bit of a sore muscle. But other than that, he was even doing tests like with a range of motion with the shoulder, and everything was like A+++, right? So he's like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. It's like, I'm secretly doing etherics. Don't tell anybody. So definitely a clear bill of health. Shoulder is doing a lot better. Like I said, it's the first time I ever dislocated my shoulder in my life. So it was definitely a new experience. But it's kind of a blessing in disguise as well too, because now I could put my etherics technology into work on a much more deeper level. And there has been a major accelerated healing. It's only been over about just under 2 weeks now since I had the injury. And within that near 2 weeks, it's about 93% better, I would say. So there has definitely been a very fast, speedy recovery thanks to etherics, and I'm also doing a lot of my own inner healing with it as well too. Well, of course, etherics is all based upon that essence as well. So anyways, hope you're all doing well. Thank you again for joining me for this special Sunday edition of New Earth TV Live. We're going to go ahead firstly and start off with some announcements. The first announcement is we have the promo code here for etherics.co. It is September 20, all capital letters. You can receive 20% off, and it is valid until the end of September 12th. And of course, you can check out the website here at etherics.co. We also have a crystal discount sale as well too, which means the Orgonite pyramids are currently on sale. You can also add your discount to it. The selenite plates are also on sale, and you can add a discount to it. The mini wands that have the crop circle energy in them are also at a discount, and you can also put the discount code on it. And of course, the amethyst clusters are also at a discount, and you can put the discount code upon it. So we have an amazing sale right now. Of course, I've also talked about the brand new essential oils that are extremely beneficial. I've been using the cedarwood oil quite a bit as of late, and it really helps me to get much more into a deeper, almost like a Zen type state. I was going into a type of samadhi as well too. As you work with it, if you haven't seen that video, you can take a look at it on my YouTube channel, looking into the cedarwood oil. It's very beneficial. It really opens you up. Like I said, it's an activator. It helps to activate and open up the chakras, helps to activate and open up your central channel. Really helps very strongly with the lungs. Also helps with replenishing your organs. Not to mention all the other ones we have as well too, like the ylang ylang, which also helps with respiratory issues. Also helps to activate the pituitary gland as well too. So check out that video that's on my YouTube channel that talks about the essential oils and working with the vibrational bands. The essential oils are great for that. And besides the essential oils, you would want to work with the Healing Code Cards Energy Deck and working with the Ray Purifier cards, the color purifiers. That too will do a very similar job as well. So again, check out etherics.co. You can check us out on social media here through Facebook and through Instagram as well. I will be doing another live stream for etherics, probably around close to the time of, I'm thinking Saturday, this next week probably. We'll see. I'll have to get an idea of that, maybe Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I'll be doing another etherics live stream and giving some updates on some new things to come as well too. And of course, the Etherics Academy is still available for enrollments. We have 8 more days before enrollment ends. So again, if you want to check out the Etherics Academy, join me every single Saturday for a live class that is 3 hours long. If you are attending the Etherics Academy, it is not necessary for you to attend a live class. You can simply look at everything through recording, as everything is archived through the outline of the Etherics Academy. I have about 80 or so students right now, so that's awesome. And people are really enjoying a lot of the information that's being shared in the Etherics Academy, because I'm teaching a lot of things in the Etherics Academy that I have not taught on YouTube. Okay, It's for a special crowd, and I really will not be giving away those particular types of teachings from the Etherics Academy onto YouTube, at least not for a while yet. This is very important because it's all part of a structured classroom. And with all due respect, the New Earth Teachings channel is not a structured classroom. It's a broadcasting channel, but I don't see it as a classroom. So if you want to really check out those brand new teachings, some things I had not explored before or talked about before, then that is exactly where you want to go, to ethericsacademy.com, checking it out. Again, it's 6 months long. There is one module every month. Every module ends with a quiz. Once you pass that quiz, then you move on to the next module. That's basically how it is laid out. So again, very exciting. Go ahead and check it out, ethericsacademy.com. And of course, our second final announcement is regarding private sessions, distance healing sessions, and 3-question private sessions by email. So you can interact with Adronis through the private sessions and through the 3-question email sessions. And the distance healing sessions are also available. We can have up to 3 healing areas that can be worked on through distance healing. All right, so you can check that out on newearthteachings.com. I am going to be doing distance healing today. So if you guys are quick enough, you'll be able to individually get a request in for distance healing. If not, just go to my website. You can get a distance healing session there as well too. And I will be concluding today's broadcast with a group healing session as well. And finally, everything on this YouTube channel is backed up onto Odyssey. Our website, or a link here for our Odyssey channel is odyssey.com/@newearthteachings. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get started with today's broadcast. As I talked about, Adronis is going to be coming through, and he's going to be talking about working with the Earth grids. All right, so this is going to be a very fascinating topic. It is going to be kind of a short broadcast today. I think we're just going to go to about 10:45 because I do have to head out. I'm actually going to be going to the brand new house today. I'm moving before the end of the month, so I'll be coming to you at a new location before the end of September. It's a nice, beautiful, spacious house that both my girlfriend and I will be living in, and her daughter will be living there as well too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a nice, big, spacious house. Can't wait to show it to you guys through video. It's going to be awesome. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and bring Adronis in now, and we're going to go ahead and have him come through and talk about working with the Earth grids. Then afterwards, we'll be taking some Q&A from the audience, and then we'll be moving on to distance healing. Then we'll finish up with the group healing. Okay? So, here we go. Enjoy. Okay, make sure I'm comfy first. First and foremost, very important. All right, let's get started. Terra Soul Star Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. What we'd like to ask all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius, so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all of the information that we have to share. Also understand that all of the information that we shall provide today is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. We will elaborate on the particular topic as it is termed, which represents the nature of your Earth's grid. Now you have to understand that your Earth's grid truly is a grid of thought. It is a grid of dynamism. It is basically, in that sense, what you would know as a type of matrix. And through this particular grid, think of it as vortices, vortexes, that are, again, bringing themselves downward from the atmosphere, connecting directly into the center of the planet herself. Or we would say, to look at it much more in an inverted way, where the center of the Earth is therefore emitting, radiating, projecting these particular vortices that are connecting to the atmospheric grid itself. Now, the atmosphere of your planet pertains to what you would know of being that of an etheric nature. And as we stated, this particular Earth grid represents the thought dynamic. It represents the thought nucleus. It is the thought collective of your planet, which means you have an ocean of thoughts that are contained within the grid that all represent, again, the dynamism relating to the type of thought structure, to the type of dynamic structure in regards to every single living being that is on this planet. And it is governed by this particular grid. Now, some of these particular thoughts within this grid can represent a flurry of different vibrational ranges. Some of them can be quite dense. Some of them can be animalistic in nature, not so much in the nature of thought, but much more in the idea of instinctual patterns. And some of them can move up a little bit higher to where it moves into a type of human sentience, but it still represents, in that sense, base survival, base foundation. And there are other stirring thoughts that, again, represent the nature of functioning pertaining to the stability of the common human on this planet. What to eat, how to communicate, how to function together through mobility of your own body, where to work, how to move throughout your planet, all of these base functions all together. And again, there are other thoughts relating to the nature of logic, intellectualism as well too, mathematics, calculation, spelling, arithmetic, languages in that way. It all contains these different layers. Thinking of it as a cake. Lower layers and then sub-layers on top of that, and then more mid-layers and then sub-layers on top of that, and then higher layers and sub-layers on top of that. Now, if you truly wish to work with the Earth grid, and bring about strong states of manifestation, not only for yourself, but for others who will benefit it altogether, you want to start moving into the state of centering. You want to move into bringing forward the intention of what it is that you wish to apply. And just as Brad has taught you previously, being able to shroud that intention with the source vibration itself. So, just as what has been discussed previously, creating an energy ball and therefore placing your intention inside that energy ball. And what you are doing through that intention is that you are giving it lightness. You are giving it a higher authority, which means you're allowing it to skip past all of these lower levels, sub-levels, mid-levels, sub-levels of the mid-levels, high levels, and sub-levels of the high levels, and coming much more into the divine level of the grid. Which means that the intention you think of is the intention that is wholesome. You're creating an intention that will therefore accumulate a certain degree of thoughts that is wholesome for the entire planet. So, as Brad coached many of you through, the idea of preserving and protecting your oceans, as well as preserving and protecting your air, preventing any particular type of falsified agendas from contaminating these elements. You see, that is a wholesome intention. For example, if you're just looking to create an intention where you just get rich, that is not going to be a wholesome desire. That is a desire that represents, by its own nature, a certain geometry. And where you say, I just want to be wealthy, I just want to be rich, I don't want to have to pay bills anymore, I want to be able to pay off all my debts, and never have to bother with bills anymore. That is an unwholesome desire. Because that is showing that you have insecurity when it comes to money. That you just want money because you're not secure enough to taking care of it through yourself, relating to your base needs that is required for you to help you grow and to mature and to evolve. So that would be what you would term as an unwholesome desire, and that desire would actually be much more in the lower planes of the earth grid. Anything that represents a purely selfish desire would end up in the lower levels of the earth's grid, pertaining to that matrix. Some of you may think, well, Adronis, I just want to be well. I just want to make sure that my health is good. I want to make sure that I am able to pay everything off, that I have a car, that I have a truck, that I have a house, that I have a job. I want to be able to retire from that job. I want to be able to go and retire on a tropical island. I want to be able to buy a condo there, and I want to just live comfortably. Are you telling me that's selfish? Yes, completely. And again, that ends up in the lower levels, because what are you doing to contribute to the earth for the sake of others? Is anything within those particular types of manifestation a pointing to others? No, it's just a pointing to yourself. You want that house. You want all of that wealth. You want all of those riches. You want to pay off that car. You want to retire from the job. You want to go to some tropical place. You want to buy a condo. You want to live comfortably. All of that represents selfishness. And so that is a very low vibratory energetic. That represents, in that sense, a type of truncated and distorted vibrational geometry. And that will end up right into the lower level of the grid. This is not what we're talking about with the nature of something that is wholesome. If you have a desire, let it be a desire that is wholesome, that benefits the planet, that benefits life, that works together in that way. Think of others. Think of how your particular manifestation with what you learn through this knowledge can benefit the many, can benefit the earth. Not just about what you want, about what you feel satisfies you. Because that is simply a low egoic energetic. And it will end up in the sublayers of the lower plane pertaining to the matrix that we are speaking of. We are talking about the idea of how you can bring a wholesomeness to the earth. Let your desires be wholesome. This is why, again, there has been such a discussion pertaining to the nature of desires through many of your masters and ancient teachers. That desires are the very thing that is keeping you from enlightenment. And that is correct. Because many of these desires are all about selfishness. It's all coming from the ego. It's not to say that you cannot strive in regards to helping yourself move out of these particular forms of calamities that you have placed yourself in. But it's not about trying to give yourself a quantum leap past those particular extremes, because that is not what's going to help you absolve the lesson. It's actually what's going to keep you deeper into it, because you're looking for a bailout. You're looking for something just to set you free beyond yourself. And through that gigantic quantum leap that comes, oh, here I am, I'm set free. I don't have to pay bills anymore. I don't have to worry about house payments. I don't have to worry about my car. I don't have to worry about my work, etc., etc. This, again, is only just a pipe dream that certain people on your planet think about, because they think that that's what's going to bail them out. When we're talking about working with the earth grid, we ask that you look into something that is wholesome relating to the nature of desire. A wholesomeness, in that sense, is an intention that you're putting forward for the sake of many. That you're putting together in a selfless way, where you're thinking about others, where you're thinking about all life on the planet, when you're thinking about the earth herself. So, one particular common wholesome desire is peace on earth. that we are all meditating for peace on earth. And as well as this is, in that sense, appreciative, because it certainly will deliver that, you're still going to be going through a transitional cycle that requires the idea of war, that requires the idea of heavy corruption, and all of these aspects of suffering that need to be exposed before peace itself can be gained. So rather than meditating so much on the idea for peace on earth, how about meditating for great changes that will take place, that will bring humanity to the forefront of maturity, rather than peace on earth? You see, peace on earth, as much as it sounds noble, as much as it sounds divine, as much as it sounds commendable, it's not really what's going to happen, because that's really not what's happening on your planet right now. It is an uproar. You're looking at the old being torn down so that the new itself can thrive. This is why we suggest that there's a changing in the language and there's a changing in the intention, and that is what you are shrouding the source vibration upon, is the ability for change to occur profoundly. Through this change comes the maturity of man, so that man themselves can mature, prosper, and evolve. You see, that is much more of a wholesome intention, because you're letting these things happen as they need to. Are they pleasant? No, not at all. But you still need to see everything that's taken place upon this planet that has been kept under your feet, that is now starting to rupture. And now you're seeing a lot of these calamities. You are seeing a lot of these transitional effects taking place upon the planet. These miseries, these states of suffering, they have to come out. They can't be buried anymore, because this is actuality. This is what's been happening to your world for many, many centuries. And it needs to come out. It's the time for it to come out. So how about working together with great change? Change that complements mankind to grow and to mature and to evolve. There is an example of a wholesome desire. The idea again that the lands of your planet are being preserved and protected. The air of your planet is being preserved and protected. The waters of your planet is being preserved and protected. That the earth will thrive. That humanity will now start to bring their realization about how they're interconnected to all things. There's a wholesome desire. This is what we're talking about. Things that benefit you overall. Not just some selfish aspect about not having to pay bills anymore, about winning the lottery, about getting all of this money and getting all this wealth and believing that that is what's going to solve your problems, when in fact it's going to create more problems on top of everything. You being able to receive an accumulation of wealth is much more problem-driven than it is solution-based. Because again, you will see how you have all this wealth, you will see how all the people around you will want that money from you, and therefore becomes calamity. It starts to become a dualistic situation. Oh, this person has all the money now, and you don't want to cough it up. Well, look how selfish this person is. And you see how it adds to the problems. Your way out of your own miseries does not come from something external. It comes from within the heart. It comes from within your own inner being. And it is the wholesome desires that you bring forward that is going to bring about a true peacefulness. Not wishing for peace, but allowing the nature of change to change you. Enabling everything that needs to transition upon this planet to transition yourself out of those old tendencies. To helping you realize more of who and what you are. This is the wholesomeness. And it's these very things that you want to shroud the source vibration with. Think of others, not just yourself. As Brad has discussed, as we have discussed, we look at the nature of what is termed as self-ness. Not selflessness and not selfishness, but self-ness. And when you truly look at the nature of self-ness, it includes all as the one. Truly, you scrub away the all and you realize that there is only the one. When you see every single living being here, you see yourself. When you see the world around you, you see yourself. Where you see every element that makes life what it is, you see yourself. Everything that is manifest, everything that is unmanifest, relates self-ness. And that is what we suggest you align yourself to, is to the nature of being the self-ness. Not selfish, not selfless, but self-ness. Because when you align to this, everything that represents unwholesome desires cease. You look at your family member, you look at your friend, you look at your neighbors, you look at bystanders that are walking to and fro, and you see only yourself. And you want to nurture that. You want to bring love and compassion to that because you see all as the one. And you realize that the all gets scrubbed away and really all there is just the one, because the all truly is the illusion. There has only ever been one. There has only ever been one living being. But you are simply looking at projections. You are simply looking at holograms, expressions of the one that appear as the many, that appear as the all. And that is therefore what you are making peace with. Love, compassion, joy, peace, splendor. So when you come into the nature of self-ness, because all there really is the self, then you realize that every desire that you have represents a wholesomeness. I want to see every single person upon this planet realize who and what they truly are. That they realize that they are living gods. That they are getting out of the habit of believing that they are separate and that they are confined and that they are limited beings. There's a wholesome desire right there. You're thinking about all that is the one. That's the idea here. It really comes down to simplicity. So before you think that utilizing this particular tactic is only meant to serve the nature of selfish desires, you have to remember that even with applying that source vibration, the source vibration is still going to put it in the lower levels because you cannot change what it is. You cannot change its vibrational geometry. You cannot change its algorithm. Where there is something that is low in base that represents a self-serving will always belong in the lower Q, regardless if you put source vibration around it or not. You see, aligning the source vibration into something is helping you to making that impenetrable when it has a wholesome effect to it, not an unwholesome effect. Basically, in that sense, you're not going to take the nature of manure and try to make that manure into something as beautiful as a diamond. Manure can never be a diamond. Therefore, looking at the idea of these low-based selfish desires is the equivalence of manure. You are not going to see a divine king sitting on top of his throne with a pile of manure on his head thinking that it's divine. It's not going to work that way. Manure has its place in the lower levels. Therefore, when you are trying to bring about these manifestations and applying the source vibration, you can certainly apply the source vibration, but the source vibration is going to deposit it exactly where it belongs, and that's at the lower level. when you bring it into the heightening of something that is wholesome, then the source center vibration is going to hold it in pristine nature. It is going to hold it up higher because it sees its vibration. Its vibration is wholesome. Its vibration is pristine. And that is what holds itself up at the top of the grid at the divine level, which is above that rainbow spectrum of the different levels of the earth grid that we talk about. It's a sovereign level. It's a divine level. And that is what you want to make your intentions, your desires to be about. Working together on the divine level, on the sovereign level of things, by including all that you know, to where you are bringing love, compassion, joy, splendor, prosperity to all that you are that is contained in selfness. That's the trick, you see. This is exactly why when Brad was leading you through the nature of protecting and preserving your waters, protecting and preserving your air, this was held into a high pristine nature. Because it is for the benefit of the all. It is for the benefit of the planet. So really think about this as you work together with the Earth's grid. Let your wholesome desires that you shroud with the source center vibration, by working with that source center, by seeing its golden light, by emanating and radiating that Om chant directly into this ball, let it be carried up into the divine level, into the sovereign level, because it equates to the vibrational similarity of the divine, of sovereignty, for it is wholesome altogether. All right? We thank you for the opportunity of this interaction. We will now conclude and return to the conduit and begin your question and answer period. Thank you very much. Okay. Very good discussion there pertaining to the Earth grid. So that is true, right? We want to make sure that everything that we're doing when we're trying to bring this up into something that can really be untouchable and really help to shape the world really represents a wholesome nature, right? This is why I say it's not just about the idea, oh guys, just go ahead and make my little pond over here pristine so it never gets polluted and only I use that pond and it's just for me. Then that again is, like I said, it's the manure equivalent of a manifestation, right? So don't make your manure manifestations happen. Instead, make divine manifestations happen. Let it happen through the wholesomeness and the pristineness that it can be. Think of others, right? That's the important part. Okay, let's go ahead now and get into some questions. So again, for those of you who have donated, I will get to you first and foremost. And thank you for your donations ahead of time. All right, this is from Z-Man. Z-Man says, hi Brad, please ask Adronis which type of astrology is more beneficial and or accurate, Western or Vedic. Okay, well you're missing Chinese astrology as well too. Okay, just letting you know that astrology exists as well. Is there more of a preference? Thank you. Okay, so for Z-Man, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Interesting that I was just thinking about this morning as well too. Good synchronicity there. All right, one moment as I bring Adronis through for this question. We thank you very much, Z-Man, for your question pertaining to the nature of astrology. Well, you see, it's all about what you feel is much more accurate, and therefore you are really not going to know what is more accurate for those in that sense who do not apply these things through themselves. So, for example, if you decide to follow the tropical zodiac system to which the Western astrology follows, and if you feel that that has given you a great deal of benefits, then the benefits speak for themselves. When you decide to look at the sidereal zodiac system, through that which Vedic astrology or Jyotish starts to utilize, and you are deciding that this again brings about a great deal of benefits to you, then the benefits speak for themselves. The same thing goes for Chinese astrology, because Chinese astrology works a lot more different than either the sidereal or through the, in that sense, tropical systems. And if you feel that that brings benefit to yourself, then the benefits speak for themselves, You see, again, there are platforms, there are systems, there are modalities that you will incorporate. Now, there are those who say that the tropical zodiac system is not as accurate. But if you are already aware of the missing area of degrees that are off-center, you can account for that. And therefore, the tropical system can be just as accurate. It's just the noticing that there may be a skewing. That again, as the tropical system deals a lot more with solstices and equinoxes in that particular way, there may need to be certain types of adjustments that come together. And once those adjustments are applied to the tropical system, which can be done, then it can be just as accurate. But as we're saying here, it's about the benefits that come out through the systems that you adopt within yourself. Because in that sense, if you just go by the book, you're going to have the same limitations that the books themselves have. But if you utilize that book simply as a guide, and that you are continuing to evolve and mature, and you're letting everything pertaining to the systems that you are studying be a lot more elastic in nature, being a lot more malleable in nature, then you will greatly benefit even further from that. Because you're not restricting yourself based upon a rule book. You're not restricting yourself based upon the confinement of learning because some certain teacher did not foresee this particular facet that you are now seeing. And when you start to make yourself much more malleable to that effect, you can incorporate these new ideas that is making the system much more expansive. Let the system evolve. So therefore, you have to be anti-systematic. Because you are evolving. You are receiving updates. You are receiving new intelligence. And now you're letting that new system grow by you being anti-systematic. So the system by itself will always have ridges. It will always have corners. It will always have walls. But it is you who applies it, who applies onto that all of this new learning that can help to restructure that system. Because even though you follow that system, you are not in that sense feeling like you need to swear by it in all of its rigidness. Because Vedic astrology has that rigidness. Western astrology has that rigidness. Chinese astrology has that rigidness. But it is through you being able to grow, to evolve, to learn, to receive the new intelligence, and to add the malleability to a complement of that system to bring it into a greater expansion, to therefore reap greater benefits, because it's the greater benefits that truly stand out relating to your interest in following such a system. We hope this makes sense to you. We thank you. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Z-Man, for your question. All right. So let me just see. I wasn't too sure if there was another donation. No. Okay. So let me just go up the top of the chat, and I'll just work my way down. If another donation comes up, then I'll go ahead right to that donation. All right. Going down the list here. Okay. Marcelo just says, thanks, maybe copper and magnesium help your shoulder. I've been actually taking a lot of minerals, a lot of supplements as well, too. So that's part of what I have been taking. So, yeah, like I said, guys, this has not been a slow, stingy process pertaining to shoulder recovery. Shoulder recovery has been extremely accelerated. And what I'm basically saying is that as you start to work with etherics, this is actually what's bringing it up into higher recovery. Like, I'm not going sluggish here, guys. If it was sluggish, I'd be saying, okay, maybe I need to get some minerals in me and stuff like that, like I've been taking those. But the whole idea of what really has accelerated itself, and I feel it going to work at night, is when I'm in the Taurus bed, is when I'm actually putting on etherics items onto my shoulder and actually feeling the regenerative process taking place. This is actually what's being said. Etherics is actually helping with accelerated healing for my shoulder. That's why it's been recovering so quickly. So, yes, minerals certainly do help, but that's not the only thing that's happening. That helps you along the natural path of things. But if you want an accelerated path, you work with something like etherics. You work with source vibration. That is what's going to bring you into a much more quicker, accelerated healing path, which I'm demonstrating here. Okay, so I'm seeing some comments rather than some questions, but this one's from @forevertia. Maybe selfish, but seeing as how we were born into the corrupt system that takes money from us since birth, it's all unfortunate. Well, again, that's aligning to a system, right? This is all part of, every single person has been born on this planet affected by a very corrupt system, and you're right. But why do you think that corrupt system is in place in the first place, right? It's for helping us to realize something, right? When you basically have that strike of realization, of knowing that there are some of these systems, do you just shrug your shoulders and just keep abiding with them and therefore going through struggle and through suffering? Or do you realize that it takes my own willingness to participate with those particular types of systems? So instead of feeling down and low to it, I'm going to work together in harmonizing myself, and those systems are going to work for me. And I'm going to work together. For example, if I start to make money in a business that I feel is something that's very ethical and very joyful, then I'm going to start sharing the wealth, right? If I feel like I am going and being able to offer technology, if I'm developing technology that I feel is going to help to heal the oceans, it's going to help to heal the land, is going to help to heal the forests, then don't I feel like I'm going to utilize that to my benefit, to help others, okay? So the whole idea of feeling that we are just, unfortunately, in this corrupt system, it's basically saying that you're just trying to find a defensive mechanism to abide within those systems to which you don't agree with, and that becomes an enslavement, right? It's helping you to get out of that enslavement altogether. It's when you come into your own sovereignty that you realize no system has ever brought me down. The only reason why a system has had power over me is because I've given it, is because I've relied on it so much, is because I depend on it so much. Now I could either take that system and I can turn it around and I could use it for something that's completely beneficial for others, or I can completely outgrow that system altogether. And very few people do that, of course. But nonetheless, that is available, right? As long as we feel that we depend on such a system, even though we feel it's corrupt, then we therefore are at the mercy of that system. It's like eating manure sandwiches over and over and over again. Well, this is all there is to eat, so I guess I'll just grab some manure, put it in between bread, and start chomping down. Okay? It's your willingness to eat manure sandwiches, rather than the idea of saying, this is enough. I'm going within, I'm looking into myself, I'm getting out of this. I'm moving past all of this because I'm seeing who and what I truly am, right? I will still use money. I will still have a home. I will still have a vehicle. I will still have all of these things, but I am not owned by the world. I will take everything that I have and I will work to, again, work with the self-ness plan, okay? And I say this, guys, because this is exactly how I work. There is nothing really in the world that bothers me. And I'm just telling you guys this from a certain perspective. Even though all these things are happening, I realize these things need to happen because I welcome change. When a person does something truly horrible, but it's now being exposed to the planet, it's a blessing in disguise because now people are starting to see a part of this filth that has been kept under their feet for a long time. And now with many eyes seeing this particular deed, there's going to be correction done to it. It's a wonderful thing, okay? Whenever you see these exposures coming out, when you see celebrities trying to milk off donations based on what's happened with Maui, right? When Maui had all those fires in that sense, and they're doing this, and people see this and realize what's actually happening, now you have thousands, hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of people that are now willing to correct it and make a difference. That's a blessing in disguise. The devil basically has to rear its head so that everybody can see it, so that the opportunity for change past that filthy system can now take place. And again, one thing I would suggest to many of you, do not underestimate the power of the collective. Okay? When you have hundreds of thousands, millions, hundreds of millions of people looking at all these things that are horrifying, that are tragic upon the planet, you can expect change to happen really quickly. because that is exactly what takes place. It's when that light shines and say, here it is, guys, here's this horrible, ugly truth that's been kept under your feet, that's now rupturing and now showing itself. What are you guys going to do about it? And now millions come together and they problem solve and they correct that error, because now they've lived through it and now they know how to correct it. That's beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. And that's what I'm seeing all the time. It honestly is a blessing of disguise when things like this take place on the planet. When there is a tragic situation and it's revealed to the masses. And the masses will get together, and just through the power of thought itself, that will get remedied. It's going to get resolved. If that didn't get resolved, guys, we'd still be in a COVID lockdown on the entire planet right now, every single country. But it's not, because there's been change instituted. The light has shined. Okay? If that was not the case, we'd be engulfed in dystopian war all over the planet, every single country. And that has not happened because of the collaborative changes that take place through the collective. This is why we say, if you're looking at a particular system and you see it for what it is, you're no longer really going to abide by it. You are going to manipulate that system so that it can work much more for you rather than you feeling that you're working for it. Or you may go even further and you will transcend that system altogether. Right? This is the whole idea here. It's not a feeling that you need to abide in eating manure sandwiches. It's the idea in saying that I'm not going to eat these manure sandwiches anymore because I'm going to move myself into higher alignment. I'm going to move myself into a better world. And I'm going to eat much more of the divine fruit rather than eating manure sandwiches because I have a bunch of mainstream media people saying eating manure sandwiches is going to make you live longer. Right? So you're getting out of being the scapegoat. You're out of being the sheep. Right? And that's what happens. People just know that these systems are horrible, but they don't feel like anything can be done because they've been looking at nothing but the external. They haven't been looking into themselves. It's the outside world that's been getting so much of their attention. Just something to contemplate. All right? Thank you for your statement. Okay, let's go down here a little bit more. Okay, Eve asked the question, could Adronis discuss Merlin and King Arthur, please? Were they real? What was their impact on Earth and its inhabitants? It's a pity you were not in the UK during that tour, because Adronis talked all about this. Okay, now there's a certain area, Glastonbury, in England, and there's a certain place, I'm not even too sure, I can remember the name of the place, but they believe that that is exactly where King Arthur and Guinevere were buried. And Adronis came through and said, no, that's not the case at all. Now, the idea of a King Arthur did exist to a certain degree. He may not have even been called that, but he represented in that sense a particular type of commander in like a military role in that sense, who was offered kingship. But his life was not at all like what the legends themselves spoke of. It wasn't the idea in that sense that he met the Lady of the Lake and he held Excalibur and he was killed by Mordred and all that stuff. Okay? That, again, is just exaggeration after exaggeration after exaggeration throughout the centuries that came together through such a hero's journey. The hero's journey represents much more of a mythology to it. And you'll notice that other nations, other civilizations, have had similar twists to the Arthurian legend. Right? They all have different types of meanings relating to these stories. And so that really just added into the mythos of the nature of King Arthur. Okay, so King Arthur was just basically the blueprint that was being brought forward into the English mythos relating to the Arthurian legend, right? The hero's journey in that way. It's a powerful story because it's much more spiritual. It's basically talking about the story of man, about how we evolve, about how we come into a coming of age, about how we need to take responsibility, right? There's a lot more symbolisms pertaining to the Arthurian legend and to the coming of age story than have it be actually literal. Okay, Merlin in that way, yes, Merlin would represent the idea. I don't even know if he was called that though, but again they used that name. But he was once a druid, all right, and a lot of people believe that he was responsible for the creation of Stonehenge. That's not quite true. but there is perhaps an association there. I felt that he actually became much more of a wild man, that he became much more of a hermit that lived out into the forest, who gained a great deal of knowledge and basically wanted to live much more into seclusion, and that there would be certain people that would meet him at certain times, and maybe he would bestow a certain degree of knowledge, and that he would represent almost like a type of avatar himself. But I can't guarantee that that was his name relating to Merlin. I share this because Adronis talked about this when we were in the UK. He was sitting down with my students and sharing a lot of this information. So Merlin did have the background and the knowledge of a druid, but he therefore became a recluse, and he became secluded much more into the wild because he wanted to get past all of the warring situations that were happening. He decided to flee. He decided to leave it all behind. He saw that there was darkness coming. He saw that there was wars coming, and he decided to leave it all behind and go off into the forest, right? No one really knows exactly what happened to him, right? If he was, in that sense, indeed this avatar, which I feel he is, but there's not really a lot known about in regards to how he lived, how he prospered in that way. Just that he moved off into the forest more as a wild man, as a recluse, offering certain forms of knowledge to travelers that would come who he deemed worthy to share it with. Okay, that's really what I can share in regards to King Arthur and the Arthurian legend and Merlin and all that. But no, King Arthur is much more of a myth than anything else. Okay, so like I said, there's someone maybe similar to him that maybe had somewhat of a similar name, but again represented much more of a commander in a military that was therefore being offered kingsmanship. Okay, but I feel like his reign was very short-lived and died shortly after. So that's what I'm getting altogether. That's what was being shared through England. Okay, so it's more so the tale. It's more so the spiritual journey. It's like the Bible, guys, right? The Bible is not meant to be taken literally in many contexts. It's an occult book. It's all teaching you about how man becomes God, right? The Arthurian legends basically represent that. It all represents the idea of a coming of age, about taking responsibility of growth, of advancement into yourself, right? It's much more of an occult legend. And that's the whole idea, rather than looking at these things so literally, especially as other civilizations, as other cultures have similar stories to the Arthurian legend, okay? Just like the idea of the Great Flood. There's many different cultures that have different interpretations of that particular event. Okay, so again, many different interpretations that come through the stories doesn't mean they're all literal. A lot of it has to do with that coming of age, how man is learning that they are God. Okay, that's really the key to it all. Thank you for your question. Okay, we're going to take a couple more questions, and we're going to go ahead and move into distance healing. Okay, so if you guys do have distance healing requests, either for yourself or for others, you can feel free to get those ready. We'll be moving into that in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm just going to go down the list here a bit more. Okay. Just giving a moment here, guys. I'm just kind of looking at some questions here. So, guys, if you're asking me for opinions on other people, please don't, because I'm not going to give opinions on other people. Okay? Some people just ask if it's Adronis or if it's me. It goes for both of us. Okay? And please just don't ask me about the opinions of other people. Okay? What I think about other people. What do you think about this person? I'm not going to answer you. Okay? I'm not here to throw my weight around and to critique them about what they're going through. Okay, I simply will not answer questions like that. So here's one from Layla. Layla says, does protection not imply that there is something that we need to be protected from? Why would we want to perpetuate that reality? Okay, so does protection not imply that there is something that we need to be protected from? Well, when we're looking at the nature of protection, all we're really looking at, again, there's different implications about this. Some people will utilize the nature of protection because of their insecurity of everything, right? So there's that particular type of protection, saying I need to defend myself, I need to put up a sword and shield, and I need to protect myself from this because I'm too insecure to face it, okay? So that would represent a type of egoic protection. But then there's wholesome protection, okay? When we're looking at wholesome protection, that's taking something that is a seed to nurture it into its divine, pristine nature. Okay? So protection can also function as a type of nurturing. It can represent a strengthening, so that that little seed that you plant in the soil grows well, which means it's not being corrupted. You're keeping the corruptness out, right? So that that seed can grow into something pure and pristine. So we can call that nurturing, we can call that protecting it from being corrupted by anything, so that it has the ability to be fruitful, okay? So again, it's about, as Jesus would say, a tree is known by its fruits. And the whole idea of any of these trees is that we want to have them grow to be pristine fruits. So again, this is the idea of a wholesome nature to protection. It's like what I was doing when it comes to the idea of bringing protection and preservation to the oceans, right? We're bringing that seed so that the oceans of the planet can therefore thrive pristinely. We're putting that protection of the air so that the air upon the planet can be completely breathable and we have that quality, rather than feeling that it is at the mercy of being corrupted, where the air is being poisoned, and with poisoned air, none of us can live. Okay? So this does not come out of a fear, but this comes out of a sanctity, right? The sanctity to place that divine seed and to nurture it and to ensure that everything that is accompanying that seed is met with purity. We're putting something of great sanctity together, of great pristine nature together, so that that seed can grow into something mighty, into something powerful, and to something divine. And that is what we would refer to as wholesome protection. Okay? So there's egoic protection and there's wholesome protection, right? We always have to look at the different bands here, right? It's like Adronis was saying, that you have those kind of cakes, right? You have the lower levels and you have the sub-layers with that. You got the mid-levels and you have the sub-layers of that. You got the high levels and you got the sub-layers of that. And then you go up into the divine level. And when you start to look at that through the nature of your intention, because many of you were doing those exercises with me when we were putting all of those intentions together with the Earth Grid. This is not something that I did. This is something that we did together, right? Because it's exactly why I shared it with all of you here. And we put those intentions into the ball, and we wrapped up that source vibration to it and put it up into the higher ethers. And I was checking it with the cards, and everything looked like it was, again, very well brought forward, right? It was beneficial. Again, that represents the wholesome protection that this is all about, to which I'm talking about, okay? So I hope that answers your question, Layla, in that sense. And you're right, there are, again, aspects pertaining to an egoic protection, but then there's divine protection in that way, right? Where everything that you are doing, you are nurturing, because you're not being insecure. You're actually being very, very content and ensuring that that seed gets everything it needs to grow beautifully. It's like looking at a child within your life, and you want nothing but to give them an environment where they can grow and they can nurture and they can advance themselves. And you are keeping anything that is corrupt, to taking them out of their innocence, to be at bay. Okay? So that you are seeing this child grow, and you are seeing this child nurture, and you are seeing this child prosper tremendously. And all you're doing is walking the grounds, ensuring that no corruption comes into the seed of this child, keeping it all at bay. That is a wholesome desire. Okay? Think of it in that context. You're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the child. And all you're doing through the dutiful nature is just making sure that that perimeter, that environment, is therefore being free of any particular type of corruption, so that child can maintain their innocence from childhood moving up into adulthood. And what a powerful child that would be. Okay? That's exactly what we're doing. We're doing divine cultivation, and the idea of divine protection plays a part of that, to keeping the corrupt out. Okay? So that, again, is all part of refinement. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, guys, one more question. I'm going to go move into healing, into distance healing requests. Okay. So again, Layla, very good question. Thank you for that. Okay, I think we'll end with this question, because I think this is an important question to cover as well, too. This is from Butterbear. Butterbear says, how much of a role does diet play in our frequency? A tremendous amount. Okay. Now, basically, you have to understand that this physical body is a food body. Okay. What makes this body flourish is what you put into it. It's a food body, right? Everything about this body, everything that represents this bod, right, Everything that represents this body is about food. So when you nurture it properly, like I said, it's going back to that example, right? You're keeping the corrupt out. And that requires a very strong willpower, but it also requires a very strong state of realization. It's like I said, when you realize that these systems are corrupt, you can either sit in your chair and eat manure sandwiches and thinking that you have to abide it because you're looking at the outside, you're not bothering to look inside yourself for change, or you can start to look inside yourself to enable change to happen. And now you're starting to become responsible. And now you're seeing exactly what those systems are. And you can bend those systems to either work for you, or you can transcend those systems altogether, which represents the next level. And as you are able to have that type of foresight, you are now being much more aware about what you are putting into your body. Because 80% of what makes your body what it is comes through food. Okay? Maybe about 20% comes from exercise, right? Certain routines, physical routines, and all that sense. The exercises just basically represent a certain degree of sculpting. But what makes the body what it is exactly what you feed it. Okay? And the food body plays a very big part of it. Another part of it in that sense is your higher levels, right? Your mentality, your emotional states. Now they can certainly be stabilized a lot more through a healthy body, but it really is the subtle levels above you that create the jurisdiction in regards to how your body itself thrives. For you to want to eat well needs to come from a healthy mental and emotional body, right? And if you do not have a healthy emotional and mental body, you're just going to eat slop. You're just going to eat sludge. You're going to eat those manure sandwiches, thinking that they're good for you. Oh, the body can take it. I'll just bury myself in chocolate and candy and GMO and all that stuff. Because you are not healthy in the mental and emotional states, right? So you're basically compromised pertaining to the subtle bodies. And so the subtle bodies, when they are compromised, you're not going to have the drive, you're not going to have the realization to eat well, to eat responsibly, to actually talk to your body and find out exactly what your body requires so that your body gets all of the nourishment that it requires, that it needs to flourish and to expand, okay? So when you're talking about diet, yes, it plays a big part because it's a food body. But more important than that, it's about having a healthy mental and emotional body. It's learning to be responsible. It's learning to actually care. It's learning to actually take responsibility in being able to be much more wise upon yourself so that you are eating well, so that you are exercising well, so that you're meditating, right? So that you're working a lot more deeper into the state of expansion with yourself. But that realization needs to come, right? And you have to want that realization to come, right? You have to want that shift to come to you, because believe me, when you want it so bad, and the moment that you let it go, it will come, okay? It's that wanting to change. It's kind of like going back into that wholesomeness that Adronis talks about. Let change happen for the entire planet and every living being upon it, right? That includes you, but it's not just you, right? Everybody will have their moment in the sun. Everybody will have that spark to where it comes together inside themselves, and therefore that realization to change will hit them when they least expect it, because they finally let go of it. When you finally let go of it, almost as if you feel like you don't care about it, it comes. That's how spirit works. You have to empty yourself of all of the liquid that you pour into that goblet representing that manifestation. You've already charged that manifestation through the water. Now just pour it into the river and let the river take its course with it. But so many people are still holding on to that liquid in the glass. Oh, come on, we got to do this real quick. Make sure I get it real quick. I got to get this real quick. Come on, blah, 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 blah. And they're spending hours, days, weeks, months, years just talking to the goblet. So are you going to pour the liquid into the river and let the river take its course? Or are you just going to be blabbing to a goblet all day? Okay, and that's us holding on to that manifestation. We can't let it go with thought. It needs to be this way. It needs to be that. We're so damn picky. Okay? So put your intention that represents wholesomeness there. Pour the liquid out of the goblet. Put it into the river. Let the river take its course. And it will come back to you when you give it up. That's the interesting contradiction pertaining to the nature of manifestation. You put a lot of charge behind the manifestation, but at the same time you have to let it go. Okay? That is how a divine being manifests. As soon as they put that intention, with the snap of the fingers, the desire is gone. It flows down the river. And when that person lets that go, it shows up at their doorstep almost instantaneously. That's how it works. That is how manifestation works, my friends. So many people who are trying with manifestation altogether are forgetting the idea of being able to unattach from it at the same time that they're making it, right? That's the key. When you learn to let it go, it will come to you. It's like you're learning to forget at the same time you're making the manifestation happen. It's like you don't even care if it happens or not. And that's exactly how it happens. Because you have to empty that glass, right? If you're still holding on to it, then that again is a shackle. That's a chain that you're putting around your wrists, right? You're not going to be able to freely use your hands by having that shackle because you still feel that that manifestation owns you. That you will fall apart if you don't have that manifestation. That you will die a horrible, tragic death if you don't have that manifestation. And that's the shackle that comes upon you. That's why it doesn't come to you so quickly, because you're still shackled by that. You've made an identity program out of that manifestation. Okay? And what I'm teaching you guys here is what the students in Etherics Academy is going to learn a lot more thoroughly, because they're going to learn about the practices that go with it as well too. That's what I'm saving for the students. But I'm giving you guys a sneak preview. Why am I doing this? Because I have to really kind of see if you guys want this. Right? This is exactly why I've created the Academy in the first place. This lets me know who wants this knowledge and who's going to use it very wisely and who won't. Right? So I give kind of tidbits, I give sneak previews here about these things. And for those of you who really hear what I'm saying, you already know exactly what the teaching is going to be. And those of you who do not, who may be just curious, maybe decide just to put it by the side. And those of you who really want it, you'll come to the Academy and you'll want to learn these things. Okay? I make the Academy because it tells me these are people who actually want this. These are people who are actually serious. These are people who actually want to learn these things and change their life. Because I've been doing this channel now since 2011, and I've given away a lot of things for free, and I just feel like a lot of people will kind of look at that and they'll just kind of walk away. And I said, I really want these particular type of sharings that I give to bring about a greater resolve. And the greater resolve comes through the Academy. That's exactly why it's up. Okay? So anyways, thank you very much for your question, Butterbear. There's my response to it. All right? Okay, guys, we're going to go now into distance healing. All right? So if you guys do have distance healing requests, feel free to place it here in the chat. If you want to have a priority distance healing request, you can feel free to put a donation behind it. Okay? And I think while we're waiting, I think maybe I'll do one more question here. Just one, again, that stands out. And I think this one is from Lena. Lena says, how important is it to do service for others in our life? Well, it's very much like what Adronis talked about. It's what I've talked about as well, too, pertaining to the nature of self-ness. Okay? When you're looking at the nature of self-ness, self-ness itself is including all that is, right? It represents the nature of not just looking at myself selfishly, but it's looking at everything. It's looking at other people, it's looking at nature, it's looking at the earth, it's looking at the entire cosmos. That represents the nature of what it is to be self-ness. So how important is it? Well, it's not even the idea of importance. If you think that doing service for others is important, you're missing the point here. It's natural to do that, okay? Because what are we made out of? We could say that we're made out of love. We could say that we're made out of compassion. We could say that we're made out of joy. We could say that we're made out of happiness. We could say that we're made out of bliss, okay? That would represent our true essence. So an importance really doesn't matter. It would be like me saying, oh, how important is it to breathe? Well, it's not really important. It's natural, right? If I don't breathe, I'm not going to be here. So importance doesn't really fall under that category. It's the idea that it's my nature to breathe in this body. If this body does not breathe, it's going to die. Simple as that. So it really doesn't even come down to a state of importance. It just comes down into a naturalness. I mean, you got to breathe. This body has to breathe, otherwise it's going to die, right? It goes far beyond importance. It's the naturalness. It's the natural function of this body. If it doesn't breathe, it croaks. Okay? And so looking at spirit, it's not about a nature of importance to be of service to others. It's your nature to be. Okay? It's your nature to love. It's your nature to be compassionate. It's your nature to be joyful. It's your nature to share splendor. It's your nature to share prosperity. Right? That is how one knows themselves. When one knows themselves, they will never turn another away who asks for help. Right? Every single time you guys have come to me who have asked for help, I've always served you. Okay? I've never turned anybody away, and this is the absolute truth. I have never turned anybody away who has ever asked me for help. Right? If a person comes to me and says, Brad, I just need your urgent help. This is really, really important to me. They tell me what's happening, and I service them. Okay? And I've never, ever turned that away. So whether a person has paid me for a session or whether they haven't, but when they've asked for that urgent help, I've always responded. Why do I do that? Because it's my nature. Not because I think it's important. Because it's my nature. Because I've tuned into that of myself, the true nature of yourself, the love, the compassion, the joy, the peace, the prosperity, the splendor, the bliss, right? That is who you are. That is what you are. And when you go into that realization, it's like I said, it's that spark that you know you want to bring into yourself. That becomes your guiding light, right? When a person comes to you and says, Lena, help me, please, I'm in dire need of your assistance. Are you just going to walk away? I don't think so. I think you're going to go right to that person. Okay, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Okay? That's something that is in all of us. It truly is. And if you don't feel that compulsion to assist another, then you've basically been consumed by the corruption of the world. Right? You've come into these thick veils. These thick veils have been put together through you through ignorance. Right? And that is something that I would suggest to that person that they need to thin out. They need to thin out the ignorance, because when you hurt another person, you're hurting yourself. When you bring misery to another person, you're bringing it to yourself. When the whole world hurts, you hurt as well. Okay, that's our interconnectedness. That is the functioning of the one organism. Okay, so I'm hoping all that makes sense to your question, Lena. All right, thank you for your question. Okay, now let's go ahead and start and take a look at some distance healing requests. All right. Going down here, I see Gardenia B. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Gardenia B. Healing request. I was unable to activate donation. That's okay. Healing for adult male Jonathan C. in Oregon having seizures. All began after the C-19 shots, but which may have aggravated childhood head injury. Aggravated childhood head injury. Okay. All right. So I will work on Jonathan on your behalf. And thank you, Gardenia B, for that. So, for Jonathan, as you said, seizures beginning after COVID-19 shots. So we can work on cleaning out the body for him, working on the brain as well too. That would be quite beneficial for him and helping him out in that way. Okay. So Gardenia B, if you want to send some loving energy to him in the background, if anybody else wants to send some loving energy to Jonathan C in the background, you can feel free to do so. And I will go ahead and move into healing. Let me just get my pendulum out. And we'll go ahead and we'll begin. Here we go. So I'm just going to be connecting to Jonathan's higher self. Okay, present with him, and we'll now begin. Okay, so healing has been done for Jonathan, for Gardenia B. All right. So Gardenia, you can just let him know that healing has been done on him. Okay. And you can always report back to me within the next several days if you're noticing some big shifts within him. Just go to my website, newearthteachings.com. You can go onto the contact page and you can drop me an email there if you want to give me an update after the next several days have passed. And you can let me know how he's doing. All right. Thank you very much for your request. Okay, this one here is from Denise Wright. Denise says, "Hi Brad, looking for a healing for my husband. His lungs, that his lungs be cleared and he can breathe freely." Okay, so a healing for his lungs. All right, so we will certainly do that for him. Thank you, Denise. And Denise, again, if you want to send some loving energy to him in the background, anybody else who wants to can feel free to do so as well. All right, and we will go ahead and work with your husband. I don't believe I got his name, so I'll just refer to him as Denise's husband. Okay, here we go. Okay. So Denise, work has been done with your husband pertaining to his lungs. Also worked on his chakra centers, worked on his energy body as well too, and mental and emotional body as well too. Okay, so again, just keep in touch with him. Keep in touch with me if you want over the next several days. Let me know how he's doing. Again, newearthteachings.com, contact page. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Oh, this is from Jackie, because I think I remember Jackie. Jackie says, "I had a healing a few weeks ago, and I'm having continued benefits in my chronic condition." Jackie, that's phenomenal. I'm glad you're doing very well. If you always want to share more with that with me, again, feel free to go to my website, contact me there. Feel free to give me some more details if you like. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do one more individual request, and I'm going to end in a group healing for everybody, okay? So this will be the last person. This is from Proactive Fitness. "My mother is suffering with cancer and is in a terminal phase. Her heels are very sensitive and having a hard time in walking. Would it be possible to ease the pain or even maybe heal her? Blessings." Okay. Well, again, guys, I never guarantee with what I'm doing. All I do is I work on the person, and what comes about through that healing effect is what comes about. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on her. Okay. So whatever comes out of that work is what comes out of the work. I never make any guarantees, but the work is done nonetheless. Okay. So I'll work on your mother here. I didn't get her name, so I'll just refer to her as Pro's mom. Okay. Easy way to do it. And if anybody else wants to send healing to her in the background, feel free to do so. All right. So we will work with Pro's mom and connect with her and helping her out with her terminal cancer. And you said her heels are very sensitive and have a hard time walking. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, very good. So healing has been done for Pro's mom. Okay, so Pro, thank you again for your request for your mother. Again, let me know how she's doing after the next few days if you want to. Again, newearthteachings.com, go to contact page. Okay. Okay. All right, so I did get a donation. I know you guys always wait to the last minute, right? Okay, so this is from Kim. So Kim, I'll go ahead and I'll do yours, but I can't do any more after that, guys, because I do have to shut it down here pretty quick. All right. So after Kim, we'll do a quick group healing, and after that, I gotta go. All right. So for Kim, my friend Andrew's eyes are full of cataracts. Can you please help? Okay. So we will work together with your friend's eyes, and work on him now. Okay. All right. So Kim, I got your friend's name, Andrew. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll work with Andrew here and now. Here we go. Just a reminder, guys, I do distance healing sessions on my websites. On my website, so on New Earth Teachings, okay? So if I don't get around to you today, you can always go to that session there that's on the website. All right, here we go. Okay, so work has been done for Andrew. Thank you, Kim. You can contact me within the next few days if you have an update to share. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, guys, we're now going to go ahead and move into distance healing. So what we're going to do here through distance healing today is we're going to do a release ball method variation of group healing. Okay, so what I want you to do right now, just keep your spine nice and straight. And I want you just to imagine like this green beam is just coming down the top of your head. And that green beam is just slowly starting to scan you. And you're just detecting any particular discrepancies that you're feeling through yourself. Okay? And I want you to create this chi ball, energy ball here and now. Okay? And I want you just to feel like a funnel of energy. It's just coming out to the center of the chest. And it's like a fine beam. Okay? And all of that beam represents the discrepancies that you're finding within the scan. And you're just pouring that beam directly into this energy ball. Okay? So just feel this emanation of a beam representing all of these toxicities, impurities, imbalances from within your chest. Okay? And it's just pouring directly into the ball. Okay, once you have all that in there, you're feeling that hole, that chasm collapse in the center of the chest. I want you just to focus on this ball. And I want you just to start Om chanting directly into it. This is why it's kind of a variation. It's kind of like we're combining prana transmission technique together with the release ball. Okay? So I want you just to feel everything that's in that ball and just start Om chanting. Okay? I'll do some vocal Om chanting, but I'd like you guys just to do some mental Om chanting into that ball. Okay? So let's begin now. Softening it more and more with each Om chant that happens. Okay, and just continuing to do more and more Om chants until you feel that presence inside that energy ball starting to soften, starting to get lighter. Okay, as you start to feel it getting lighter, like you feel like it may be like turning into like a vapor in that sense. right? All you're saying now is, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. And you just keep saying that until you're really not even seeing anything in the ball anymore. Once you feel the ball is completely empty, just snap your fingers. Okay? And that will clear away a lot of the clutter that you were detecting from the scan. Okay, so this is a variation of the release ball method combined together with the prana transmission technique, right? Just keep doing the Om chants if you need to. Like I said, just get everything soft, get everything lightened up. Maybe start seeing it into vapor, and then just saying to yourself, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you, until you see that ball completely empty. Once it's empty, snap your fingers, ball disappears. All right, that's what I want to leave with all of you today. We are out of time. Thank you, guys. It's now 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Again, I will be back on Thursday for the Signposts Live, and of course on Friday for another episode of New Earth TV Live. And I will let you guys know when the next Etherics live stream starts coming up as well, too. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Rest of the weekend, I should say. Om Shanti, 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 Namaskar, and may it be well with you. Goodbye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to New Earth Teachings on YouTube. Don't forget to check out our websites, newearthteachings.com, where you can do private sessions with me, and also etherics.co. And through Etherics, you'll be able to pick up your Healing Code Cards body deck, your mind deck, and your energy deck through Etherics. You will also be able to pick up the Etherbed kit. That is also on Etherics as well. Not to mention that you'll also be able to pick up some apparel and accessories that is also available on Etherics. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one. Om Shanti, 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 Namaskar, and may it be well with you.